This is the word percent, and this symbol also means percent. Percent means divided by 100. It can help if you think of the word percent as two parts. Per represents divided by, and cent represents 100. As an example, 6% equals 6 divided by 100. Let's try some more examples. 50% means 50 divided by 100, so 50% equals 50 divided by 100. But we can simplify that fraction. 50 divided by 100 equals 1 divided by 2, which we also call a half. So 50% is a half. Okay, another example. 25% equals 25 divided by 100. And again, we can simplify the fraction. So 25 divided by 100 equals 1 divided by 4, which we call a fourth. So 25% is a fourth. Another example. 0% equals 0 divided by 100, and we can simplify that as 0. It's okay that it's not a fraction anymore. 0% equals 0. Next example. 100% equals 100 divided by 100, which we can simplify as just 1. So 100% equals 1. Okay, one more example. 300% equals 300 divided by 100, which equals 3. So 300% equals 3. Sometimes we can replace the word part with a number and a percent sign. Part of the earth, 63% of the earth. But part of the earth doesn't tell us what amount it is. The amount is 63%, so that's more specific. When we do this, the number should be between 0 and 100%. 0 isn't anything, and 100%, well, that would be the whole earth. It's not just the earth. We could have part of a tree. In this example, it's 2/9% of a tree. That's not the same as 2/9. It's 2/9%, which is a different number. It's okay that we mixed a fraction with a percent. It's a bit complicated, but it works. We know the amount, but we still don't know which part of a tree. It could be a twig, it could be a leaf, it could be a root, but I meant a flower. We can also replace the word partly with a number and a percent sign. Partly wooden, 82% wooden. The meaning is mostly the same as when we replace the word part, and the rule about it must be a number between 0 and 100% is still just as valid. The previous examples were all about things that could be measured, but that's not necessary. I could be partly happy, or 42% happy. I don't mean that as a measurement. Happy is subjective, so 42% happy is also subjective. Now let's try an entire sentence. 31% of this lesson already happened. That's mostly okay, but the beginning of the sentence is a number. That's very awkward, and sometimes that's not allowed. Depends upon the context. Okay, let's try again. This lesson is 31% complete. We can also use percent for comparing two things. We do this with a number, a percent sign, and a comparison word. As an example, 52% wider. We just compared the width of these two objects, but we can compare them other ways, like their height. As an example, 447% taller. You might notice that 447% is more than 100%, and that's okay. Remember, the other way of using percent had a rule that it must be a number between 0 and 100%, but that rule doesn't apply for this way of using percent. Another example, 4% more massive. Sometimes, instead of just one word for a comparison, we use the word more with another word. Some comparison words are vague, so we don't know exactly what they mean. Like bigger could mean wider, bigger could mean taller, bigger could mean more massive, or several other possible meanings of bigger. For some comparisons, Only one number is correct, and any other number would be wrong. If we ignore my art skills, let's suppose that 52% wider is the correct comparison for these two objects. So the first object is 52% wider than the second object. But if I pick a different number, like 447%, that would be wrong. The first object is not 447% wider than the second object. But remember, bigger is a vague comparison that could mean wider, but also could mean taller. So the first object is 52% bigger than the second object, and also the first object is 447% bigger than the second object. Just be careful when you use percent with a vague comparison word. More example sentences. A minute is 5,900% longer than a second. This coin is 6% older than this spoon. They are 300% more numerous than you. I am 1% denser than water. You are 12% more powerful than a fridge. We can explain the same thing multiple ways. The next three sentences' meanings are about the same. Current me is 54% older than past me. The age of current me is 54% more than the age of past me. My age increased 54%. That last sentence uses the word increased, a special word for comparing something to its past self. You might notice something is vague again. The past is a long time, and we could be much more specific. Some examples. The price of potions increased 23% during the last 2 years. Your age increased 1% since yesterday. The mass of the tree increased 2% from Monday to Thursday. The default assumption is you compare the way something was during the past to the way something is now. So the price of potions 2 years ago and the price of potions now, or your age yesterday and your age now. But this last example is different. It mentions 2 times, Monday and Thursday. So you compare those two. The mass of the tree during Monday and the mass of the tree during Thursday. Some words are defined so that they basically equal a number, and you can express that number with a percent sign. Probability is a good example. If you flip a coin, the probability of heads is 50%. The same thing works without percent. If you flip a coin, the probability of heads is 1/2. Another example is interest. The annual interest rate of my loan is 6%. Interest is normally expressed with percent. But what about other words that work like this? Sometimes you should use percent. Sometimes you should use another form of a number. Which you should use is an arbitrary tradition. We should be ready for a big word problem. Let's start. I have 20 balls. You have 50% more balls than I do. 25% of my balls are marbles. Your marbles are only 20% of your balls. I lost 80% of my marbles. Later, you lost some marbles. This increased the number of lost marbles by 75%. Next is 3 sentences with blanks. We should replace the blanks with numbers. I lost blank marbles. You lost blank marbles. You lost blank percent of your marbles. Let's start with I lost blank marbles. And we search for a relevant sentence. I lost 80% of my marbles. That's relevant. So that compares the number of marbles that I lost, exactly what we want, to my total number of marbles. But we don't know my total number of marbles. So let's search for that. Well, 25% of my balls are marbles. Well, that compares my total number of balls to my total number of marbles. So that can help. And at the start, I have 20 balls. Together, that's enough information. Now let's do some calculations. So 20 balls and 25% of my balls are marbles. So it's 25% times 20. That's 25 divided by 100, then times 20. If we simplify that, it's 5. So I had 5 marbles total. Next we do 5 marbles times 80%. So 5 times 80 divided by 100. If we simplify that, it's 4. So I lost 4 marbles. Now it's your turn. You lost blank marbles. Let's search for a relevant sentence. It's a bit more complicated, but the last sentence seems relevant. Later you lost some marbles. This increased the number of lost marbles by 75%. So you lost some marbles, that's the number we want. But it's compared to whatever marbles were already lost. So let's check earlier. The only previous lost marbles were the marbles that I lost. So we're comparing the number of marbles that I lost to the number of marbles that you lost. We already know that I lost 4 marbles, so the relevant calculation is 4 times 75%. So that's 4 times 75 divided by 100, and we can simplify that, it's 3. So you lost 3 marbles. Okay, one last blank. You lost blank percent of your marbles. That compares the number of marbles that you lost to your total number of marbles. We already know that you lost 3 marbles, so that's one of the numbers. We're missing your total number of marbles. Let's find a relevant sentence. Your marbles are only 20% of your balls. That's relevant. That compares your total number of marbles to your total number of balls. Okay, but what about your total number of balls? You have 50% more balls than I do. That compares your total number of balls to my total number of balls. And at the beginning, I have 20 balls. Let's do the calculation. First, it's the 20 balls times 50%. That's 20 times 50 divided by 100, that's 10 balls. But that's the amount more that you have. You have 10 more balls than I do. That's not 10 total balls. So the next thing is 20 plus 10. Because it's more, you add that to my number. So you have 30 balls. Next part is your marbles are only 20% of your balls. So it's those 30 balls times 20%. So that's 30 times 20 divided by 100. If we simplify that, it's 6. So you have 6 marbles, but you lost 3 marbles. So those are the two numbers we're comparing, 3 and 6. For the calculation, it's 3 divided by 6 times 100. If we simplify that, it's 50. So you lost 50% of your marbles. The end. Bye.